My beloved child, listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal is not random, not accidental, and not delayed. This very day was marked on heaven's calendar long before you were born. Angels were assigned. Ages were written. And Archangel Michael had been standing watch over this moment, waiting for you to arrive here. You did not click this by chance. This message found you because ignoring it would have consequences your spirit already senses but cannot yet fully explain. Something was planned for you, something precise, something weighty, something that cannot be postponed again. God Himself set this day apart. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. And the warning is clear. If this message is dismissed, what was prepared may quietly pass by without noise, without drama, but with permanent effect. Heaven will not shut twice about the same door. There is a reason your heart feels restless, a reason your thoughts have been circling the same questions, a reason you have felt both anticipation and pressure at the same time. Archangel Michael says the pressure is not fear, it is urgency. You are standing at the edge of a divine shift, and the enemy knows it. That is why distraction suddenly increased. That is why doubt whispered louder this morning. That is why procrastination tried to dress itself as logic. Hear this clearly. This day was not given to everyone. It was assigned to those who have carried a silent calling, those who endured delays without abandoning faith, those who kept moving even when clarity was missing. God does not waste days like this. When He marks a day, it is because something irreversible is ready to be released or withdrawn. Archangel Michael is stepping forward now, not with comfort, but with truth. He says there is a difference between delay and disobedience, and many confuse the two. Delay refines you. Disobedience erases outcomes. And right now, heaven is watching which one you choose. This message is the dividing line. You may be thinking, what exactly is at risk? And that question alone reveals how close you are. Because what God planned is not small enough to be ignored casually. It involves alignment, relationships, decisions, locations, words you are meant to speak, and actions you are meant to take today. Not everything will happen today, but everything begins today. There is a house, symbolic or literal, that God hath been preparing, a place of covering, stability, and authority. You have been near it before but never entered fully. Archangel Michael says the key was placed in your hands this morning, but keys only work when used. Ignoring this message does not make the plan disappear loudly. It simply expires quietly. This is why the warning sounds sharp. Not because God is angry, but because time-sensitive grace requires clarity. Grace does not chase forever. It invites, waits, and then moves forward. And if you do not move with it, it will move without you. Notice how specific this feels. That is because it is specific. This message is not for the crowd. It is for the one who feels exposed by it. For the one who suddenly feels seen. For the one whose spirit tightened the moment these words began. And tightening is recognition. Archangel Michael says there is also exposure coming, but not for you. For someone connected to your delay. A hidden motive. A false support. A voice that pretended to protect you while quietly keeping you small. Today begins the separation. But separation only happens if you choose alignment. Do not underestimate how much hangs on a single response. Heaven often compresses destiny into moments that look ordinary on the surface. A video. A sentence. A pause. But beneath it, contracts are signed in the spirit. Assignments are either activated or reassigned. You are not being threatened. You are being trusted. Trusted with information others never receive. Trusted with timing others are not ready for. Trusted enough to be warned before loss becomes final. Archangel Michael says, if you feel resistance rising right now, that is confirmation. Resistance only shows up where movement matters. If this were insignificant, there would be no urgency, no inner reaction, no spiritual tension. So pause. Breathe. Do not rush past this moment like you rushed past others. Heaven is unusually quiet right now because it is waiting on your response. And what you choose next will echo further than you realize. This is only the beginning of what needs to be revealed. The next layer explains why this day matters so much, what was scheduled to activate, and how to make sure nothing is lost. My precious one, now that you have stepped past the first warning, Archangel Michael speaks with deeper clarity. What you felt earlier was not imagination. It was recognition. Heaven marked this day because a cycle was scheduled to close, and another was authorized to begin. God does not casually end cycles. When He closes one, it is because it has completed its assignment. And when people refuse to move, expired seasons begin to rot, draining strength, joy, and clarity. This is why you have felt unusually tired even when you rested. You were carrying something past its time. Archangel Michael says there is a divine ledger, and your name was highlighted on today's page. Not because you are late, but because you are finally ready. For a long time, readiness was the missing piece. You had desire, faith, and patience, but there were internal adjustments heaven needed to make before release could happen safely. What is coming requires stability, discernment, and courage. That is why the waiting felt long and, at times, confusing. God was not withholding. He was preparing. This day matters because a permission has shifted. Until now, certain doors remained closed not due to resistance, but due to protection. You were spared from entering spaces that would have demanded more than you could give at that time. But today, Archangel Michael declares that your capacity has increased. Your discernment is sharper. Your authority is stronger. And the spiritual covering around you has been reinforced. That is why opposition feels louder right now. Resistance always increases right before access. There is something else you must understand. Ignoring this message does not erase God's love for you. It does not remove your identity. But it does affect timing. Certain opportunities are not recycled endlessly. They move with or without us. This is not punishment. It is order. Heaven operates with precision. When God schedules a release, it aligns with people, resources, and moments that also have their own timelines. Delaying your response can cause misalignment that takes years to correct. Archangel Michael is emphasizing obedience over understanding. You are not required to see the full picture yet. You are required to respond. Many miss divine moments because they wait for certainty instead of clarity. Certainty comes later. Clarity comes now. And the clarity is this: you are being asked to step out of what is familiar and into what is assigned. Notice how your spirit reacts when you imagine staying exactly where you are for another year. There is heaviness there, but when you imagine movement, even without details, something inside you lifts. That is the confirmation you have been asking for. God often speaks through wait and release, not just words. His message is also a call to attention. Distractions have been unusually effective lately. Small things are pulling you away. Minor delays becoming patterns. This is strategic. Archangel Michael says the enemy does not need to destroy you if he can simply delay you. That is why focus is your weapon today. Attention is sacred right now. If this message is resonating, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video so it reaches others who are standing at their own crossroads. Share it with someone who had been feeling the same pressure and confusion. Comment so your declaration becomes public in the atmosphere. Subscribe to this channel so you stay aligned with what heaven continues to release through these messages. And if you feel led, join the membership to stand closer to this assignment and help carry it forward. Your engagement is not just support. It is agreement. Archangel Michael says agreement accelerates manifestation. When you engage, you are not helping a platform. You are participating in a flow. Heaven responds to participation. Silence keeps things private. Agreement makes them active. There is also a warning hidden within the encouragement. Do not spiritualize inactivity. Waiting on God does not mean standing still when He is clearly prompting movement. Faith without response becomes stagnation. Today is not about dramatic gestures. It is about intentional alignment. A conversation you must have. A decision you must stop postponing. A step you must finally take. Pay attention to what comes to mind right now. The first thought is the instruction. The second thought is fear trying to negotiate. Trust the first. Archangel Michael says obedience today will simplify what has felt complicated for months. Hold on, because what comes next will uncover the specific reason this moment feels so heavy and so holy at the same time. What is being protected, what is being removed, and what is about to be revealed will make everything suddenly make sense. Chosen one, now the veil lifts further, because what is being revealed next explains why heaven spoke with such urgency. Archangel Michael says this day was not only marked for release, but for exposure. Not exposure meant to harm you, but exposure designed to free you. There have been something quietly influencing your decisions, shaping your patience, and subtly redirecting your expectations. It did not arrive as danger. You arrived as familiarity. And that is why it stayed so long. You trusted it because it felt safe. You tolerated it because it felt reasonable. But heaven never called it permanent. God allowed it for a season, not for a lifetime. Today is the day that season ends. And when seasons end, truth surfaces. Masks slip. Patterns break. What was hidden does not need to be chased. It reveals itself naturally when divine light intensifies. Archangel Michael is clear. A person, an agreement, or a mindset around you has been operating with divided intention. Not always malicious, but misaligned. I benefited from your delay. I grew comfortable with your silence. And because you are compassionate, you excused what should have been confronted. But compassion without discernment becomes bondage. Today, that imbalance is corrected. This exposure will not come through confrontation first. It will come through clarity. Suddenly, things will not add up anymore. Words will feel empty. Promises will sound rehearsed. You will notice inconsistencies you once ignored. This is not you becoming suspicious. This is you becoming discerning. And discernment is a sign of spiritual maturity. Archangel Michael says do not rush to explain yourself when this happens. Silence will speak louder than arguments ever could. When God exposes, He also defends. You do not need to gather evidence or convince others. Truth has weight. It stands on its own. This is also why you felt emotional pressure building over the last few days. Your spirit was preparing to let go of something your mind kept justifying. Letting go does not mean you failed. It means you learned. And learning is never wasted. Heaven does not shame growth. It celebrates it. Understand this carefully. What is being removed was blocking what is meant to arrive. God will not pour new wine into an old structure, not because the structure is evil, but because it cannot hold what is coming. Archangel Michael says your next assignment carries influence, visibility, and responsibility. Anything unstable near you would have cracked under that weight and injured you in the process. Removal is protection. You may feel a strange mix of grief and relief. That is normal. Grief honors what was. Relief welcomes what will be. Do not suppress either. Let both pass through you. Emotions are not enemies. They are indicators. What matters is obedience, not comfort. There is something powerful happening right now as you listen. Spiritual authority is being restored. Authority you gave away by over-explaining. Authority you lost by staying too long. Authority you forgot you had because survival became your focus. Archangel Michael says survival mode is ending. Strategy mode is beginning. This is also why you are being called to step into alignment publicly. Not loudly, but intentionally. Heaven responds when you acknowledge what it is doing. Agreement activates acceleration. If this message is speaking directly to your spirit, complete this act of agreement now. Type "I am ready for truth" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 639 has just been released. This channel exists to carry messages like this to those who are standing at the edge of their calling, just like you. Every seed sown here becomes light in places still covered in confusion. God says, as you pour oil into my work, I will pour clarity into your life. This is not charity, this is alignment. When you give through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a video. You are opening a river for God's word to reach the ones still trapped in silence. I hear the Spirit say, those who move when I nudge will not lack when they need. Do it now. So while the heavens are open, and receive the blessing that follows obedience, what comes next will explain how to move forward without fear, how to recognize the new door when it appears, and how to step into it without carrying old weight. The next revelation connects everything you have felt, everything you lost, and everything that is about to rise in your life. Beloved one, now that truth has surfaced and weight has begun to lift, Archangel Michael speaks about what replaces what was removed. Heaven never leaves a vacuum. When God clears space, it is because something greater requires room to arrive. Many misunderstand this stage because it feels quiet. No fireworks. No instant confirmation. Just a subtle shift inside you. But do not mistake silence for inactivity. This is the most deliberate phase of all. Archangel Michael says alignment always comes before acceleration. Right now, heaven is aligning your inner posture with your outer assignment. That is why your desires are changing. Things that once excited you feel dull. Conversations that once mattered feel shallow. This is not disinterest. It is elevation. Your spirit is recalibrating to match where God is taking you next. There is a new door approaching, but it will not look like the ones you knocked on before. Those doors required you to prove yourself, explain yourself, or shrink yourself to be accepted. This door will recognize you. It will not ask for performance. It will respond to authority. And authority is not something you demand. It is something you carry quietly. Archangel Michael wants you to understand this clearly. The reason past opportunities felt exhausting is because they were built on effort, not grace. What is coming will still require discipline, but it will no longer drain you. Instead of striving, you will sense flow. Instead of pressure, you will feel steadiness. That is how you will know it is from God. You are also being taught discernment and timing. Just because a door opens does not mean you rush through it. Some doors are invitations to observe, not enter immediately. Archangel Michael says wisdom will now speak louder than urgency. You will feel peace before movement, not chaos before action. Trust that sequence. There is also a restoration of confidence happening beneath the surface. Not loud confidence, but rooted confidence. The kind that does not need validation. The kind that does not panic when misunderstood. This confidence comes from knowing who sent you, not who applauds you. God is anchoring you so deeply that external reactions will no longer determine internal stability. Pay attention to the next few days. You may receive information casually that answers a question you have been praying about for months. You may overhear something that confirms a direction you were unsure about. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations layered gently so you do not miss them but also do not fear them. Archangel Michael also gives this instruction: protect your focus. Not everyone deserves access to this season. Oversharing will dilute clarity. Explaining too much will weaken resolve. This is not secrecy. It is stewardship. What God is building in you needs privacy to mature. You may notice that some people naturally fall quiet around you now. Conversation. Interaction shift. This is alignment in motion. Do not chase what is naturally stepping back. Chasing is no longer your role. Standing is. Heaven is also restoring your voice, not just in speaking, but in decision-making. You will no longer feel the need to ask permission for things God has already approved. Second-guessing will lose its grip. When doubt tries to rise, it will feel foreign instead of familiar. That is growth. Archangel Michael says something important here. You are not starting over. You are continuing with clarity. Everything you learned, endured, and survived is being integrated, not discarded. This next chapter is not a reset. It is an upgrade. As this settles in, resist the urge to rush outcomes. God is not behind. He is precise. What arrives next will come fully formed, not halfway. Your job is not to force manifestation, but to maintain alignment. There will be a moment soon where you are asked to choose between comfort and calling. It will not look dramatic. It may look like a small compromise or a familiar option. That is the test. Your response will determine speed, not destination. The destination is already secured. Speed depends on obedience. Archangel Michael stands guard over this process. You are not navigating it alone. Assistance has been assigned. Favor has been authorized. Protection has been reinforced. All that is required now is attentiveness. Let these words settle. Do not rush away from this moment. The next revelation will show you how to recognize the exact moment the door opens and how to step through it without hesitation or fear. Beloved soul, Archangel Michael now draws your attention to a moment that is closer than you think. This is the moment when the door does not merely appear, but recognizes you. Many expect divine doors to announce themselves loudly, but heaven often works through subtle alignment rather than spectacle. What you will notice first is not opportunity, but readiness. A calm certainty will replace the internal debate that once kept you circling the same questions. When that happens, know this: the door is already open. Archangel Michael says the reason you struggled before was not because you lacked faith, but because you were trying to enter future assignments with past understanding. God does not move you forward until your perception catches up with your position. Now, perception is shifting. You are beginning to see clearly what once felt confusing. This clarity is not coming from effort, it is coming from surrender. You stopped forcing answers, and heaven responded by releasing them. The door you are approaching will test something specific: trust. Not trust in circumstances, not trust in people, but trust in God's timing even when logic feels incomplete. You may not have every detail, but you will have enough peace to move. That peace is the confirmation. Anxiety demands proof. Faith responds to presence. Archangel Michael warns you not to delay once recognition happens. Hesitation in this season does not come from wisdom, it comes from memory. All disappointments will try to speak up, reminding you of times when hope did not work out the way you expected. But those memories belong to a different version of you. That version needed protection. This version has authority. You are being trained to respond, not retreat. When God opens a door now, it will not require you to abandon who you are. It will require you to finally use who you are. That is the difference. You are not being reshaped. You are being revealed. There will also be a shift in how others respond to you. Some will suddenly seek your insight. Others may feel uncomfortable without knowing why. This is not something you need to manage. Authority naturally rearranges environments. Let it happen. Do not shrink to keep things familiar. Familiarity is not safety anymore. Obedience is. Archangel Michael says something critical here. You must stop asking if you are allowed. Heaven has already authorized you. The question is no longer permission. It is participation. Will you step forward when the moment comes, or will you wait for reassurance that never arrives because reassurance is now meant to come from within? This season will also expose your relationship with control. God is inviting you into partnership, not dominance. You will be asked to act without controlling outcomes. That may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is necessary. Control limits what God can do through you. Trust multiplies it. Watch for a small but clear instruction soon. It may come through a conversation, an idea, or a sudden inner nudge. You will feel simple, almost too simple. That is intentional. God often starts big movements with small steps to test responsiveness. Do not overthink it. Movement activates momentum. Archangel Michael reminds you that heaven responds to obedience, not perfection. You do not need to get everything right. You need to get moving. Adjustments will come as you go. Direction sharpens after motion begins. There is also a warning wrapped in encouragement. Do not seek validation from those who benefited from your hesitation. Their approval is not required. Their understanding is not necessary. God is shifting your reference point. You are no longer guided by reaction but by revelation. You may feel a quiet joy rising that does not depend on circumstances. That joy is a sign that alignment is locking in. It is not excitement. It is assurance. Assurance is stronger. It does not fade when challenged. Archangel Michael stands firm here and declares that what you are about to step into will confirm why delay was necessary and why obedience now is critical. Past confusion will make sense. Past loss will reveal its purpose. Nothing was wasted. As you move closer to this door, keep your spirit alert and your heart open. Do not rush but do not stall. Balance is key. Heaven is precise, and you are being trained to move with that precision. What comes next will reveal how to navigate what's on the other side of the door, how to remain protected once you step through, and how to avoid carrying old patterns into new territory. The next revelation completes the picture of what God hath been preparing you for all along. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks with urgency wrapped in assurance, because once you step beyond the threshold, maintenance becomes as important as movement. Many enter new seasons with excitement but lose ground because they do not understand how to remain aligned once the shift occurs. What God is giving you will last, but longevity requires awareness. This is where wisdom replaces impulse. As you move forward, you will notice that peace becomes your primary signal. Not the absence of challenge, but the presence of stability even when challenges arise. Archangel Michael says, do not confuse calm with stagnation. Calm is evidence that you are finally moving in rhythm with heaven instead of against it. Chaos was never a badge of calling. Order is. There will be moments where old patterns try to resurface, not because they belong, but because they are familiar. Familiarity can be deceptive. Just because something feels known does not mean it is safe. This is why discernment must stay active. You are no longer learning discernment through pain. You are learning it through awareness. God is also refining your reactions. Where you once explained yourself, you will now observe. Where you once rushed to respond, you will now wait. This is not passivity. It is authority under control. Archangel Michael emphasizes that restraint is one of the highest forms of power. You no longer need to prove anything. Your alignment speaks louder than arguments ever could. The visibility increases, so does responsibility. Not everyone who approaches you in this season is meant to stay. Some are observers. Some are assignments. Some are tests. Do not rush to label people. Let fruit speak. Time will reveal intention. You are not required to expose. You are required to remain aligned. There is also a strengthening happening in your inner life. Your prayers are becoming clearer, shorter, and more confident. That is because you are no longer praying from lack, but from agreement. Agreement accelerates response. Heaven moves quickly when clarity is present. Archangel Michael instructs you to guard your words carefully now. What you speak has increased weight. Complaints that once felt harmless can now delay momentum. Declarations, however, will open paths quickly. Speak what aligns, not what irritates. Your tongue is becoming an instrument of direction. You may also notice that rest feels different. It is no longer escape. It is restoration. God is teaching you sustainable movement, not burnout disguised as faithfulness. Pace matters. You are running a long-distance assignment, not a short sprint. This is also the moment where your engagement matters. If this message is guiding you, do not stay silent. Like this video so it continues reaching those who are on the brink of their own breakthrough. Share it with someone who needs clarity instead of noise. Comment to mark your agreement and anchor this word in the atmosphere. Subscribe to this channel so you remain connected to what heaven continues to release here. And if you feel the nudge, join the membership. Standing closer to this flow keeps you sharper, steadier, and more aligned as the journey unfolds. Archangel Michael says unity multiplies strength. When you engage, you are not consuming content. You are participating in assignment. Heaven responds to participation. Be aware that this season will test your consistency more than your courage. Courage got you here. Consistency will keep you here. Small daily choices now carry greater impact than dramatic gestures. Faithfulness in the unseen will protect what is being built in the seen. You may feel moments of quiet temptation to slow down, to pause longer than necessary, to revisit old comforts. This is not rebellion. It is fatigue trying to disguise itself as wisdom. Learn to tell the difference. Rest is holy. Retreat is not always required. Ask God before you pull back. Archangel Michael assures you that support has been assigned. You will not carry this alone. Help will appear at the right time, not before, not after. Trust the timing of assistance. Premature help can weaken discernment. Delayed help strengthens it. Hold on, because what is coming next explains how to recognize divine confirmation versus emotional excitement, and how to avoid confusing noise for instruction. This next revelation is crucial because it protects everything you have stepped into and ensures you do not drift after alignment. Beloved child, Archangel Michael now turns your attention to discernment at a higher level, because as you move deeper into alignment, not every signal will be divine, and not every open path will be assigned. This is where many sincere souls stumble, not because they lack faith, but because they confuse intensity with instruction. Heaven wants you grounded, not overwhelmed. You are entering a phase where options increase. Invitations, ideas, connections, and possibilities will appear almost simultaneously. At first, this may feel like confirmation, but Archangel Michael cautions you here. Abundance of choice is not always abundance of direction. God often allows multiple doors to open to test which voice you are following. The right door will not shout the loudest. It will resonate the deepest. Pay attention to what brings peace after the excitement fades. Emotional excitement is immediate and loud. Divine confirmation is steady and quiet. It remains even when emotions settle. This is how you will learn to separate noise from instruction. If something energizes you but disturbs your peace, it requires further waiting. If something feels heavy but clear, it may require courage, not avoidance. Archangel Michael says you are being trained to move from reaction to revelation. In earlier seasons, you reacted because survival demanded speed. Now, survival is no longer the goal. Stewardship is. And stewardship requires listening more than speaking, observing more than acting, and waiting more than pushing. There will be moments where you feel pressure to decide quickly, especially when others are involved. Do not let external urgency override internal clarity. What is from God will wait for alignment. What is not will rush you, guilt you, or flatter you. Learn to recognize the difference. Heaven never manipulates. You may also notice a sharpening in your intuition. Thoughts will come with unusual clarity. Warnings will feel calm instead of fearful. Guidance will feel firm instead of confusing. This is not you becoming suspicious. This is you becoming mature. Discernment is not distrust. It is alignment. Archangel Michael also speaks about boundaries. In this season, boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They allow what is assigned to enter and keep what is distracting out. You are not required to be available to everyone. Availability without assignment leads to depletion. Protect your energy, your time, and your focus. These are not selfish acts. They are obedient ones. There is also a deeper healing happening now. Not healing from obvious wounds, but from subtle patterns of self-doubt and second-guessing. You are learning to trust yourself again, not apart from God, but in partnership with Him. God is restoring confidence in your hearing, your judgment, and your response. This is crucial for where you are going. Archangel Michael says stop revisiting decisions God has already confirmed. Reopening settled matters invites confusion. When peace has been given, honor it. Rehearsing old questions does not produce new answers. It only weakens resolve. As this discernment strengthens, you may feel less need to explain your choices. This is a sign of growth. Explanation often seeks approval. Alignment no longer requires it. Those who are meant to understand will. Those who are not do not need to. You are also being taught to recognize divine timing in others. Not everyone who wants access to you is ready for what you carry. Discernment will help you pace relationships without guilt. Delay does not mean denial. Sometimes it means preparation. Archangel Michael reminds you that humility remains essential here. Discernment without humility becomes pride. Stay teachable. Stay prayerful. Stay anchored. God resists pride, but he accelerates the humble. You are being elevated, but elevation must rest on surrender, not self-importance. There may be moments when clarity feels lonely. Fewer people will be able to walk with you at this level of awareness. This is not isolation. It is refinement. God often reduces noise before he increases impact. Do not mistake quiet for abandonment. Heaven is very close right now. This season is also teaching you patience with process. Some confirmations will come quickly. Others will unfold slowly. Both are intentional. Trust the pace God sets. Rushing revelation can lead to misapplication. Waiting allows wisdom to form. Archangel Michael stands firm and assures you that nothing essential will be missed if you remain attentive. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be to learn what must be learned before the next expansion. What comes next will reveal how this discernment leads directly into favor, how God positions you without striving, and how certain doors open simply because you are standing in the right place at the right time. Remain still for a moment. Let this settle. The next revelation ties everything together in a way that will surprise you. My beloved one, Archangel Michael now reveals how discernment turns into favor without effort. Many believe favor must be chased, earned, or proven, but heaven operates differently. Favor is attracted to alignment. When you stand where God places you, doors open without force, conversations shift without manipulation, and help arrives without begging. This is the season you are entering now. You will notice that situations begin to arrange themselves around you. People will offer support without being asked. Information will reach you at the exact moment you need it. Delays that once felt heavy will suddenly dissolve. This is not luck. This is positioning. God is placing you in environments where obedience is rewarded naturally. Archangel Michael says this is why discernment was trained so deeply in you. Favor without discernment becomes dangerous. It exposes you to misuse, pride, or distraction. But favor paired with wisdom produces longevity. God is not interested in a quick rise followed by a quiet fall. He's building something stable through you. There is also a shift in how authority recognizes you. Authority is authority. You will begin to notice that those with influence respond to you differently now. Not because you demanded respect, but because you carry it. This respect will feel unfamiliar at first. Receive it without shrinking. Diminishing yourself now would be disobedience. Archangel Michael emphasizes that this favor is not just for you. It is meant to flow through you. Others will benefit because you chose alignment. That is why this day mattered so much. God was not just protecting your future, he was positioning you as a channel. You may feel a renewed sense of purpose, but it will not come with anxiety. Purpose anchored in God produces peace, not pressure. If you feel pressure, pause and realign. Pressure indicates self-effort trying to replace obedience. Return to stillness, and clarity will re-emerge. This season will also test your gratitude. Favor can quietly become familiar if not honor. Take moments to acknowledge what God is doing, even when it feels normal. Gratitude preserves favor. Entitlement erodes it. Stay aware. Archangel Michael also says do not be surprised if certain people reappear now that momentum has returned. Not everyone who left was meant to stay away permanently, but not everyone who returns is meant to stay. Discernment remains active. Favor attracts attention. Wisdom decides access. You are also stepping into a phase where your words carry unusual impact. Conversations will shift because of what you say. Decisions will be influenced by your presence. Do not take this lightly. Speak intentionally. Bless more than you criticize. Build more than you correct. Authority that heals lasts longer than authority that dominates. This is also a moment of sealing. What God has been preparing is now being locked into place. The confusion of earlier seasons will not return in the same way. Challenges may come, but they will not destabilize you. Your foundation is different now. If this message confirms what you are sensing, complete this prophetic agreement now. Type "I step into favor" in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 842 has just been released. Now hear this carefully, because it flows directly from what heaven is doing. God is using this channel as a river to carry light into lives that feel overlooked, delayed, or confused. When you give here, you are not funding content, you are fueling obedience. I hear the Spirit say, "Those who sow into my work during seasons of favor will never lack in their own." This is a holy moment to respond. If through super thanks, step into membership, or use the PayPal link in the description. Your seed becomes a voice for someone else who needs to hear what you just heard. Do it now. Release it in faith, and may heaven multiply it back to you with wisdom, protection, and increase. What comes next will reveal the final adjustments God is making before a major expansion, how to remain humble while being elevated, and how to walk in favor without losing dependence on Him. The next revelation prepares you for what happens after favor settles in. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks about refinement after favor, because elevation without grounding can quietly undo what obedience built. This phase is subtle, but it is critical. Many misunderstand it and think something is wrong because the pace shifts again. But this slowing is not resistance. It is stabilization. God is anchoring what He has released so it cannot be shaken later. After favor settles, heaven watches posture. Not to test you harshly, but to confirm readiness for expansion. Expansion is coming, but it must rest on humility, not momentum. Archangel Michael says humility here does not mean thinking less of yourself. It means thinking less about yourself. Focus shifts from proving to serving, from receiving to stewarding. You may notice that applause fades slightly. Attention quiets. Things feel less dramatic. This is intentional. God is teaching you not to depend on external affirmation to validate internal calling. What He is building now must stand even when no one is clapping. This is where maturity locks in. There is also an invitation into deeper intimacy with God. Not frantic prayer, not desperate asking, but shared presence. Conversations become simpler. Listening becomes easier. You will sense God guiding you through impressions rather than instructions. This is partnership, not dependency. Archangel Michael emphasizes that comparison must fully die in this season. Favor will show you people who seem ahead, faster, or louder. Do not measure your assignment against theirs. Heaven does not mass-produce callings. What you are carrying requires a specific pace, specific training, and specific timing. Comparing paths creates unnecessary pressure and distorts discernment. This is also where character is quietly strengthened. Small decisions matter more than big declarations. Integrity in private protects authority in public. What you choose when no one sees shapes how much heaven can trust you with when everyone does. You may feel moments of boredom or restlessness. This does not mean you are off track. It means your soul is adjusting to stability after long seasons of tension. Chaos can become familiar when it lasts too long. Peace sometimes feels unfamiliar at first, Let it normalize. Archangel Michael warns gently here, do not create problems just to feel movement. Not every quiet moment needs action. Some require gratitude. Some require rest. Some require observation. Movement will return naturally when alignment calls for it. There is also a recalibration of desire happening. Ambitions rooted in ego will lose appeal. Desires rooted in purpose will strengthen. You will want impact more than recognition, depth more than speed, substance more than noise. This is a sign that refinement is working. God is also adjusting how you handle disappointment. Not everything will work perfectly, even in favor. But disappointment will no longer derail you. It will inform you. Lessons will be extracted quickly instead of lingering painfully. This resilience is part of your preparation. Archangel Michael says you are also learning spiritual authority without aggression. Authority does not need to raise its voice. It stands firm and lets truth do the work. This will change how you lead, how you speak, and how you influence. People will feel safe around you, not intimidated. That safety will become one of your greatest strengths. You may also experience moments where you feel unseen again. This is temporary and purposeful. God hides his instruments before he uses them publicly. Hidden seasons protect purity of motive. Let God decide visibility. Trust his timing. This phase teaches patience at a higher level. Not patience born from waiting for breakthrough, but patience born from stewarding breakthrough wisely. You're learning how to hold blessing without letting it define you. Archangel Michael assures you that nothing gained will be lost if you remain teachable. Correction may come gently. Receive it. Adjustment may be required. Embrace it. These are signs of investment, not rejection. God corrects what he values. As this refinement completes, you will notice a quiet confidence settle permanently. Not excitement that rises and falls, but assurance that remains steady. This assurance will carry you into the next expansion without fear of collapse. What follows next is important, because it reveals how heaven begins to multiply what has been stabilized, how influence increases without strain, and how your obedience begins to affect people you may never meet directly. Stay attentive. What comes next explains why everything unfolded in this order and how the final stretch of this preparation unfolds. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks about multiplication because what hath been stabilized is about to be expanded. This is not expansion that overwhelms you, but expansion that flows through you. God multiplies what can be trusted. He increases what has learned restraint, and he amplifies what no longer seeks attention for itself. You may begin to notice that your influence reaches further than your effort. Words spoken casually carry weight. Decisions made quietly affect outcomes you never planned. People you have never met may benefit from choices you make in obedience. This is how heaven multiplies impact, not through noise, but through alignment. Archangel Michael says multiplication does not always feel dramatic at first. Sometimes it looks like repetition with depth, doing the same things, but with greater clarity, walking familiar paths but leaving different footprints. Do not despise this phase. What feels steady now will soon feel significant. Here is also a shift in responsibility, not pressure but trust. God begins to place you in situations where your response influences more than just you. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to mature you. Heaven would not trust you with reach if your heart were not ready to carry it. You may feel moments of awe mixed with humility, all because of what God is doing. Humility because you know it is not by your strength. This balance is holy. Guard it. Pride would interrupt the flow. Fear would restrict it. Gratitude sustains it. Archangel Michael also warns you not to rush visibility. Some things are multiplying underground before they appear above ground. Roots must spread before branches expand. Trust the unseen work. What God grows quietly lasts longer. This season will also refine your voice. Not volume, but precision. You will learn when to speak and when to stay silent. Silence will no longer feel like weakness. It will feel strategic. Words spoken at the right moment will do more than many spoken too early. You may also sense a calling to encourage others more intentionally. This is not accidental. God often uses those who have been refined to stabilize others. Your testimony, even when unspoken, carries reassurance. People will feel calmer around you. That is influence. Archangel Michael says multiplication also brings choice. You cannot carry everything forward. Some good things must be released to make room for God things. Discernment continues to guide pruning. Letting go will feel easier now. You are no longer attached to outcomes the same way. Obedience has redefined success. If this message is confirming what you are experiencing, engage with it. Like this video so it reaches those who are entering their own season of multiplication. Share it with someone who feels ready but unsure. Comment to declare your agreement and anchor this word in your life. Subscribe to this channel so you remain connected as heaven continues to release direction here. And if you feel the nudge, join the membership. Standing consistently in this flow sharpens discernment and keeps alignment strong. Archangel Michael saith consistency sustains multiplication. Engagement is not noise, it is agreement. Heaven responds to agreement. You are also learning to manage energy differently. You will not chase every opportunity. You will choose assignments that align with purpose. Saying no will no longer feel like loss. It will feel like protection. This wisdom ensures that expansion does not turn into exhaustion. There may be moments when multiplication exposes weaknesses you did not know existed. This is not failure. It is invitation. God reveals what needs strengthening before it becomes a breaking point. Receive these moments with humility. Correction now prevents collapse later. Archangel Michael reminds you that obedience remains the foundation. Never graduate from listening. Never assume alignment is automatic. Stay prayerful. Stay aware. Stay surrendered. Multiplication does not replace dependence on God. It deepens it. You may also notice increased spiritual opposition, but it will feel different than before. Less intimidating. More predictable. That is because authority hath been established. You are no longer fighting for position. You are standing in it. Opposition now confirms placement, not threat. As multiplication unfolds, joy will return in unexpected ways. Simple things will feel meaningful again. Gratitude will surface easily. This joy is not circumstantial. It is rooted. Rooted joy protects the heart during expansion. Hold on, because what comes next reveals the final phase of this journey. The moment where everything aligns visibly, where purpose becomes undeniable, and where heaven seals what has been prepared for so long. Beloved one, Archangel Michael now speaks with a tone of completion, because you are approaching a moment where alignment becomes visible, not just internal. What has been forming quietly is about to express itself outwardly. This is the stage where purpose no longer feels abstract. It becomes practical, tangible, and undeniable. Not because you announce it, but because your life begins to reflect it clearly. You will notice that confusion no longer has the same power over you. Questions that once haunted you will lose their urgency. Not all answers will arrive. but the need to chase them will disappear. This is a sign of maturity. When you trust the one leading you, you do not panic about the road ahead. You walk it step by step with confidence. Archangel Michael says this phase is marked by internal agreement. Your mind, heart, and spirit are no longer pulling in different directions. This inner unity creates strength. Divided focus weakens movement. Unified focus accelerates it. You are no longer negotiating with fear. Fear may speak, but it no longer decides. There is also a deep settling of identity happening now. You are no longer trying to become someone. You are allowing yourself to be who God has already formed. This brings rest. When identity is settled, striving ends. Comparison fades. Approval loses its grip. You begin to live from calling instead of chasing validation. You may notice that your prayers have changed again. They are no longer about becoming ready. They are about remaining faithful. You are asking for wisdom, not confirmation. Strength, not signs. This shift signals that preparation has done its work. Heaven responds differently to these prayers because they come from alignment, not desperation. Archangel Michael also speaks about courage in this stage. Not the courage to begin, but the courage to continue. Starting is often easier than sustaining, but God has strengthened you for endurance. You will not burn out the way you once feared. Your pace is wiser now. Your expectations are healthier. You have learned to move with God instead of ahead of Him. There will be moments where you are invited to step into spaces that feel larger than you. Do not shrink. God never places you where His grace cannot support you. Feeling small does not mean you are unqualified. It means the assignment is bigger than ego. Rely on God, not self-confidence. Archangel Michael says you are also becoming a signpost for others. Not by preaching, but by presence. People will observe how you respond, how you rest, how you decide. Your consistency will speak louder than any declaration. This influence is quiet but deep. It creates permission for others to trust God with their own timing. You may feel a stronger pull toward integrity than ever before. Small compromises will feel heavier. This is not restriction. It is refinement. Integrity protects what God has built. Guard it carefully. What you protect now will protect you later. There is also an increased awareness of responsibility. Not in a burdensome way, but in a grounded way. You understand that what God is doing through you matters beyond you. This awareness will shape your choices. You will choose depth over speed, truth over convenience, obedience over applause. Archangel Michael reminds you that rest remains essential. Not rest from laziness, but rest from striving. You no longer need to prove that you are faithful. Faithfulness is evident. And now you rest in trust, knowing that God completes what He starts. You may also experience moments of reflection, where you look back and realize how far you have come. Let gratitude rise, but do not linger there too long. Reflection honors the journey. Dwelling delays momentum. Thank God, then keep moving forward. As this phase settles, clarity will become your default state. Not constant certainty, but consistent peace. When decisions arise, peace will guide you. When challenges appear, peace will anchor you. When opportunities come, peace will confirm or caution. This is the reward of alignment. Archangel Michael stands firm and declares that you are ready for what comes next. Not because you are perfect, but because you are positioned. Heaven does not wait for perfection. It moves with willingness and obedience. The final revelation is approaching. It will seal what God has spoken, release a final instruction, and activate what has been prepared through every step of this journey. What comes next is not preparation. It is commissioning. Remain attentive. What follows completes the message that began when you first felt that urgency to listen. My beloved child, Archangel Michael now speaks the final word over this journey, not as a warning, but as a commissioning. What began with urgency now ends with authority. You are no longer standing at the edge, wondering if this message was meant for you. You are standing inside the plan itself. Heaven has been watching your response from the very first moment you listened, and today, alignment has been sealed. This is the moment where God says, enough preparation. Now walk. Not walk in fear. Not walk in hesitation. Walk in obedience. Walk in clarity. Walk in the confidence that what was planned for you has not been erased, delayed, or reassigned. It has been preserved, because you listened when listening mattered. Archangel Michael declares that this very day will be remembered in your life as a turning point. Not because everything changed instantly on the outside, but because something shifted permanently on the inside. You crossed a line of understanding. You chose responsiveness over resistance. And heaven responds powerfully to those who respond to God. From this moment forward, you will notice that confusion no longer has authority over you. It may attempt to return, but it will not stay. Doubt may knock, but it will not rule. Fear may whisper, but it will not decide. Why? Because you are no longer asking whether God is speaking. You know He is. And that certainty changes everything. Archangel Michael says your steps are now being ordered with unusual precision. Delays that once frustrated you were protecting you. But now, movement will feel cleaner, simpler, and more intentional. You will not need to force doors. You will recognize them. And when you walk through them, you will feel peace instead of panic. There is also a covering being released over your future decisions. Even when you do not see the full outcome, heaven will guard the process. Missteps will be corrected quickly. The error will be shortened. What once took years to recover from will now take moments. This is not because you are stronger, but because you are aligned. Archangel Michael reminds you that obedience has positioned you as a vessel, not just a recipient. What God pours into you will overflow into others. Through your words, your presence, your choices, people will find clarity they were praying for. You may never know the full impact, but heaven records every ripple. Do not minimize what God has done here. Do not explain it away. Do not delay acting on what you now understand. The instruction moving forward is simple. Stay attentive. Stay humble. Stay responsive. You do not need to chase purpose. Purpose will meet you as you walk. There will be days ahead that test consistency, not faith. Remember this moment when those days come. Remember that God already confirmed His plan. You are not waiting for direction anymore. You are walking it out. Archangel Michael stands and declares, what was threatened is now protected. What was delayed is now activated. What was planned has not been erased. It has been secured. If this final word resonates in your spirit, seal it now. Type I receive and walk in the comments if you accept this commissioning. Blessing code 9147 is now activated. Now hear this final instruction, because it flows directly from what God has just completed. This message did not reach you by accident, and it will not stop with you. God is using this channel as a trumpet to reach souls who are one moment away from giving up, one decision away from missing their appointed day. When you support this work, you are not supporting a person. You are partnering with heaven's assignment. I hear the Spirit say, those who build my altar in obedience will never lack fire. This is your moment to respond. Give through Super Thanks. Step into membership or so through the PayPal link in the description. Do it now, not as a donation, but as a prophetic act. As you release your seed, may God release protection, increase, and divine alignment over everything connected to your life.